Hey everybody, I'd like to give you a short introduction to one of the approaches I've been using recently to work with students on sitting stance, finding a comfortable sitting stance at the piano when they play. And it's related to how we perceive our own height and how we perceive our size. Now, from my background in body mapping and Alexander technique, um, teachers always emphasize the importance of head-neck relationships, understanding the length of your spine, and these kinds of things. Those are excellent tools, and they can even be used with young students. I've used them. But what I've found to be a really effective, fast way of getting students to grasp the importance of this is the following. So often, I'm sure you also notice in some of your students, you'll just see that they're sitting kind of lazily, not really thinking about how they're sitting. Oftentimes, if you just draw their attention to it, we get a straightened up posture, kind of over exerting a little bit. Sometimes when it really seems habitual and I can tell the student just hasn't found that nice balance that will allow their arms to move freely and connect to their fingers at the keys, as I ask them, how old were you when you started piano? And they'll think about it for a while and they'll come up with whatever answer. And it works with all ages, whether they've started very young or they've started recently and they're not that young. If they think about it for a minute and then I ask them, how tall were you at that age? And then they think about that again. And oftentimes they'll come up with what they think is a pretty accurate, little notch on the wall compared to what they are now. And I'll tell them, do you think you're still sitting that way? The same way as when you started 2-3 years ago? And they'll think about it for a second. And then all of a sudden, like there's changes going on in how they sit. And so then we'll experiment with, all right, how does it feel to play the way you were playing before? And I'm sort of mimicking this kind of dumpy feeling that we see. All right, fair enough. Now, how tall are you now? How tall do you want to be now? How tall would you sit now? I'm not telling them anything about their structure. I'm not giving them anatomy, anything. It's all coming from their internal perception of how tall they know they are now. So let's compare that one. Now, I don't know how much comes through the recording, but purely from a movement standpoint, you can see my arms are flowing more easily. I have more control over the rhythm. Even the shape of the phrase is different when I'm playing this way. All I did was that shift in how I'm thinking about how tall I am. All I can say is try it with your students. Let them do the perceiving. Ask them these questions, guide them through the process, and see what result you get.